There comes a moment in every life when the storm, rather than being something to escape, becomes the gateway to transformation. And it's a peculiar thing, how we resist the chaos, how we squirm in discomfort, trying to restore order, failing to realize that the very disorder we dread is nature's way of pushing us into awakening. You see, what you are going through now, this discomfort, this anxiety, this mess, it isn't the end. It's not a punishment. It's the pause before the music shifts into a new rhythm. This is the turning point, disguised as confusion. We have been taught to seek certainty, to cling to answers, to run from questions. But life does not unfold according to the script of logic. It dances, wildly, beautifully, erratically, pulling us into corners we didn't plan to visit, only to reveal parts of ourselves we never knew existed. And right here, in this strange pause, in this in-between, where nothing seems to make sense and everything appears to fall apart, that is where the alchemy begins. That's where everything turns around. The irony is this: we long for change, but fear the unknown. We want new beginnings without endings. We want to grow without letting go. But transformation never comes wrapped in comfort. It comes in moments like this, where nothing seems clear, where the old ways no longer work, and the new ways haven't shown up yet. But don't rush to fix it. Don't force your way out. The mind will try to rescue you with explanations and plans, but the soul knows better. The soul asks you to wait, to breathe, to relax. You don't need to understand it all right now. You don't need to rush toward some distant solution. What if the solution is not out there in the future, but right here in this stillness? What if this very discomfort is not a sign of failure, but the signal that everything is aligning, rearranging, recalibrating to serve your becoming? What if your job is not to escape it, but to witness it? Feel it. Allow it, because the moment you stop resisting, the moment you lean in, everything begins to shift. You become a participant in the dance of life rather than a spectator clinging to control. The pain softens, not because it disappears, but because your relationship with it changes. You no longer see it as the enemy, but as a messenger. And then quietly, subtly, things begin to open. Paths appear. Light seeps in through the cracks. The storm does not vanish, but you no longer fear it. And somehow, strangely, you begin to thank it. This is the threshold. You are not lost, you are being rerouted. You are not being punished, you are being prepared. Everything you've been through was not for nothing. Every disappointment was a redirection. Every delay was a recalibration. Every heartbreak was a pruning for greater love. Every silence was pregnant with revelation. You are now standing in the moment where the tide turns, not because of anything you force, but because of everything you surrender. To relax, not as an escape, but as an embrace. Sink into the now, not the imagined future, not the resurrected past, but this, right here. Let the moment carry you. Let it unfold, because life knows the way. It always has. And even when you thought it was falling apart, it was quietly, patiently falling into place. There is a profound truth woven into the fabric of our experience. Transformation rarely arrives in a neat package, wrapped in certainty and comfort. Instead, it creeps in quietly through the cracks of our confusion and unfolds amidst the chaos we so often dread. When life throws us into those unsettling moments, when the ground beneath our feet feels unstable and the future seems shrouded in fog, it can feel like everything is breaking down. Yet paradoxically, it is precisely in this fragile space of uncertainty where the seeds of profound change are planted. We live in a culture that prizes control and clarity. We want to know what comes next, to map out every step of our journey, to be assured that our efforts will lead to predictable results. This desire is natural, for it offers a semblance of security. But this yearning for certainty also blinds us to a deeper process unfolding beneath the surface. When we encounter setbacks, confusion, or what appears to be failure, our instinct is to fight back, to solve the problem, to push harder, to escape the discomfort. We believe these difficult moments are interruptions or errors. But what if they are instead invitations? Invitations to pause, to surrender, to lean into the very uncertainty that frightens us. Transformation is not a linear path. It is not a staircase that leads straightforwardly upward, but more like a river that twists and turns, sometimes rushing violently, other times pooling quietly in stillness. Those moments of stillness, those pauses between the rapids, are where the river gathers strength and changes course. When life slows down or seems to stall, it is not because you are stuck or failing. It is because the current is shifting beneath you, guiding you toward a new direction you cannot yet see. This pause is essential because transformation demands something more than just effort or willpower. It requires a deep letting go, a willingness to be with what is, without rushing to fix it. In these moments of uncertainty, your mind may scream for answers, but the answers cannot come until you allow space for the unknown. Like a seed buried underground, your potential is quietly germinating in darkness. You cannot rush its growth by pulling it out prematurely. You must trust the unseen forces working within you and around you. What often feels like a crisis, a breakdown, or a failure is in fact a process of realignment. The universe is recalibrating, reorganizing your life to reflect a truer version of yourself. It may look like everything is falling apart because the old structures that no longer serve you are dissolving. But this dissolution is necessary. Like a forest after a fire, this clearing creates space for new growth, stronger, wiser, more vibrant than before. The tension in these moments is a sign that transformation is underway. The discomfort is your signal that you are shedding old beliefs, habits, or relationships that have kept you confined. The uncertainty is a threshold you must cross to enter a broader, more authentic experience of life. To resist this process is to cling to a past that limits you, but to embrace it is to step into a new reality where growth can flourish. Relaxation in this context is not passive resignation. It is a conscious choice to trust the process. It is an acceptance that you do not need to have all the answers right now. It is a commitment to be present with yourself even in the absence of clarity. When you can sit with uncertainty without fear, you open a door to deeper wisdom. You create a fertile ground where insight, creativity, and new possibilities can take root. The human spirit has an extraordinary capacity to adapt and transform when given the chance. History and personal stories alike show us that the greatest breakthroughs emerge from moments of crisis or confusion. The discomfort of the present is often the necessary crucible through which new strengths are forged. The seed must be buried in darkness before it can reach toward the light. The caterpillar must dissolve into a chrysalis before the butterfly can emerge. If you shifted your perspective from seeing this pause as a problem to recognizing it as a sacred space, a space where life invites you to slow down, to listen deeply, and to reconnect with your inner self. In that space, you might discover resources you never knew you had. Resilience, courage, clarity, that arise not in spite of uncertainty, but because of it. Your transformation is happening right now, in this very moment of stillness and not knowing. The turning point you seek is unfolding within you, even if you cannot yet see it with your eyes. The key is to surrender to this process, to stop pushing against the tide, and to allow the current to carry you toward your next chapter. In time, the fog will lift, and the path ahead will become clear. But rushing through the fog only causes more confusion. The more you fight to control the journey, the more you miss the subtle signals guiding you forward. Relaxation is your invitation to step into the flow of life, to trust that the pause is not a delay, but the very moment where everything begins to turn around. When you stop resisting and start embracing, transformation moves from being a distant hope to a present reality. This is the secret. The very discomfort you fear is the gateway to your awakening. You don't need to understand it all now. You don't need to have all the answers. You only need to be willing to be here, fully, openly, patiently, and in that willingness, the turn you've been waiting for will quietly arrive. The human mind has a remarkable habit of trying to grasp control, to hold tightly onto the familiar as if it were a lifeline in a turbulent sea. We are conditioned to believe that control equals safety, and that if we can just manage all the variables, life will unfold predictably and smoothly. Yet life is not a machine to be operated, or a puzzle to be solved. It is a flowing river, a living dance, that cannot be choreographed by our limited understanding. When we insist on control, we create tension, resistance, and suffering, not because life itself is harsh, but because we are fighting against its natural rhythm. Relaxation in this context is not about giving up or becoming passive. It is about releasing the frantic grip of the need to steer every outcome and instead learning to move with life's unpredictable currents. To surrender to life's dance is to recognize that the universe is infinitely more intelligent and fluid than our anxious minds can comprehend. When we try to control everything, we are like a child trying to catch smoke. No matter how tightly we grasp, it slips through our fingers. The moment we relax our hands, the smoke rises and flows freely, revealing its beauty and shape. Control is an illusion born of fear. We fear uncertainty, change, and the unknown. We think that if we can just maintain control, we can avoid pain, disappointment, and failure. But ironically, this very fear binds us. It locks us into repetitive cycles of worry and struggle. It narrows our vision, blinding us to the vast possibilities that emerge when we loosen our grip. True freedom is found not in control, but in trust. A trust that life will carry us where we need to go, even if the path is not yet clear. Even if the path is not yet, when we learn to relax and participate in the dance of life, something remarkable happens. We shift from being victims of circumstance to becoming co-creators of our experience. We stop resisting the flow and start responding to it with grace and flexibility. Instead of fighting against change, we welcome it as a vital part of our growth. Instead of fearing the unknown, we approach it with curiosity and openness. This shift in attitude transforms our relationship with life's challenges. They no longer appear as obstacles to be overcome, but as invitations to expand and evolve. Surrendering control also means embracing uncertainty as an inherent part of existence. The universe is not a fixed, static place. It is dynamic and ever-changing. Trying to impose rigid structures on something so fluid is like trying to freeze a wave in mid-motion. The wave's power lies in its movement, in its ability to rise, fall, and reshape the shore. Similarly, our power lies in our ability to adapt, to flow with life's rhythms rather than resisting them. Relaxation is a practice, a way of being that requires patience and courage. It calls us to soften the tension in our bodies and minds, to breathe deeply, and allow ourselves to be present with what is. This presence opens a space where clarity can arise, where insights come not from frantic thinking, but from quiet observation. In this space, we begin to see that control was never the key to peace. Peace comes from acceptance, from a willingness to let go of the illusion that we can command everything. There is also a profound spiritual dimension to this surrender. When we relax into the flow of life, we align ourselves with a greater intelligence, a cosmic rhythm that transcends our limited perspectives. This alignment brings a sense of harmony and ease, as if we are being carried by an invisible current toward our highest good. It reminds us that we are not separate from the universe, but an integral part of its unfolding mystery. The dance of life involves both structure and spontaneity. There are moments when effort and intention are necessary, when we plant seeds, take action, and make choices. But these moments must be balanced by times of receptivity, of waiting and listening. If we push too hard without pause, we exhaust ourselves and miss the subtle cues guiding our next steps. Relaxation is the counterpart to effort. It is the stillness that allows the dance to continue gracefully. In practical terms, learning to relax your need for control might look like this. Instead of trying to plan every detail of your future, you focus on the present moment and take inspired action where it feels right. Instead of resisting change, you welcome it as a teacher. Instead of battling your fears, you acknowledge them and move forward anyway. This does not mean giving up responsibility. It means shifting your relationship to responsibility from one of burden to one of trust. The paradox of surrender is that in letting go of control, you often gain more power. You become more adaptable, more creative, and more open to opportunities that would have been invisible to a mind obsessed with certainty. You develop resilience, the ability to bend without breaking. This resilience is not about enduring passively, but about engaging actively with life's mysteries, knowing that every twist and turn has purpose. When you relax into life's dance, you begin to notice patterns and synchronicities that seem like magic, but are actually the natural consequences of alignment. Doors open where before there were walls. Relationships deepen. Opportunities arise that were previously unimaginable. This is not coincidence, but the unfolding of a deeper harmony, a sign that you are moving with life rather than against it. Relaxation is also an act of self-love. When you release your grip on control, You release the pressure and judgment you place on yourself. You allow space for imperfection and growth. You recognize that you are doing your best in a complex and unpredictable world. This compassion for yourself fuels your courage to keep moving forward, even when the path is uncertain. In the end, the need for control is rooted in a desire for security. But true security is found not in holding tightly to what is familiar, but in trusting the unfolding of what is yet to come. Relaxing into life's dance means embracing the mystery with open arms and a willing heart. It means recognizing that the universe is not your adversary, but your partner in this grand, beautiful movement called life. What if the discomfort you feel, the pain, the anxiety, the restlessness, were not your enemy, but your greatest teacher? For much of our lives, we are conditioned to avoid discomfort at all costs. We seek pleasure, stability, and ease, and when faced with pain or uncertainty, we push it away, numb it, or fight against it. But what if this instinct to resist is precisely what keeps us trapped? What if discomfort is not something to be feared or eliminated, but rather a messenger inviting us to look deeper, to awaken to truths we might otherwise miss? Discomfort has a way of cutting through the superficial layers of our existence. It disrupts the routines and illusions that keep us comfortable but disconnected. When everything feels smooth and predictable, it's easy to stay asleep, to live life on autopilot, moving through the motions without real presence. But when pain enters, whether emotional, physical, or spiritual, it shakes us awake. It demands attention. It forces us to confront realities we have long ignored or denied. At first, this confrontation feels threatening. The instinct is to retreat, to resist, to blame external circumstances or other people. But resistance only prolongs suffering. Pain, by its very nature, is intense and immediate. It calls for surrender. Not surrender in the sense of defeat, but surrender as acceptance. Acceptance that this experience is part of your path, part of your growth. When you stop struggling against discomfort and instead turn toward it with curiosity and openness, you begin to receive its wisdom. Discomfort often points us toward what needs healing. It reveals where our boundaries have been crossed, where our needs have been unmet, where illusions about ourselves or others have been shattered. It exposes the places where we have been living out of alignment with our truth. In this way, pain acts like a spotlight, illuminating the hidden corners of our inner landscape that demand attention. In this way, when you embrace discomfort as a messenger, you allow it to teach you about your own resilience and capacity for transformation. You realize that pain does not have to define you or break you. Instead, it can be the crucible in which a new self is forged, stronger, wiser, more compassionate. This process is not easy. It requires courage to face what hurts and vulnerability to admit where you have been hurt. But it also carries the promise of profound liberation. One of the greatest obstacles to receiving this message is the cultural narrative that equates pain with failure or weakness. We are told to hide our wounds, to appear strong, to fix things quickly so we can move on. But true strength lies not in denial or avoidance, but in acknowledgement and integration. When you allow yourself to fully feel and process discomfort, you break its power to control you. You transform pain from a source of suffering into a gateway for growth. Another way discomfort teaches us is by shifting our perspective on control and certainty. When we are comfortable, we cling to predictability and the illusion of safety. Discomfort disrupts this illusion and invites us to let go. It shows us that life is inherently uncertain and that trying to control every aspect is futile. By accepting discomfort, you begin to embrace uncertainty and learn to navigate it with grace. This shift opens the door to new possibilities. When you are no longer bound by the need to avoid pain, you can take risks, make changes, and pursue your true desires. Discomfort becomes a catalyst for courage and creativity. It pushes you out of stagnation and into movement, even if the path ahead is unclear. Importantly, the process of learning from discomfort is deeply personal. Each person's pain carries unique lessons tailored to their journey. What might feel unbearable to one person could be a call to action for another. This means that no one else can tell you exactly what your discomfort means or how to resolve it. The task is to listen deeply to yourself, to honor your feelings, and to trust the wisdom that arises from within. Spiritual traditions across the world have long recognized the transformative power of suffering and discomfort. They teach that through trials the soul is purified and refined. Pain is not punishment, but a form of initiation into deeper understanding and compassion. It is through facing our darkest moments that we come to appreciate the light, and through enduring hardship that we develop empathy for others. When you view discomfort in this way, your relationship to it changes profoundly. You no longer see it as something to be feared or avoided, but as an integral part of the journey. You learn to approach it with a kind of reverence and gratitude for the growth it fosters. This does not mean seeking out pain or glorifying suffering, but rather recognizing the gifts hidden within it. As an assistant, you really are responsible for it. And another gift of discomfort is humility. It reminds us that we are not in control of everything, and that life's mysteries often unfold beyond our understanding. This humility opens us to surrender, trust, and faith, all of which that bring peace, even amid uncertainty. By accepting discomfort, we acknowledge our humanity and our interconnectedness with the larger flow of existence. The transformation that discomfort initiates is rarely immediate. It is a gradual process that unfolds over time, often with setbacks and moments of despair. But each encounter with discomfort offers an opportunity to deepen your resilience and your capacity to love yourself and life more fully. With patience and compassion, you learn that discomfort is not a wall but a doorway. Ultimately, the discomfort you face today is part of the turning point in your story. It is a sign that old patterns are dissolving and new life is emerging. By shifting your perspective and embracing discomfort as a messenger rather than an enemy, you open yourself to the profound change waiting just beyond the horizon. The path through discomfort is not easy, but it leads to freedom, growth, and awakening. The power of the present moment is often spoken about, yet its true significance remains elusive until we experience it deeply. We live lives that are perpetually tethered to either the past or the future, endlessly replaying memories or projecting hopes and fears ahead. The mind becomes a restless storyteller, spinning narratives that distract us from the only moment we ever truly have, the now. Yet it is precisely this present moment that holds the key to transformation, the point at which everything can turn around. When we are caught up in regrets about what has happened or anxieties about what might come, we miss the life that is unfolding right here and now. The present moment is not just a fleeting point between past and future. It is a vibrant, alive space, rich with possibility. It is the doorway through which change enters. The past is gone and the future is unknown, but the present is real, tangible, and filled with the energy to create. Relaxing into the present moment is a radical act in a culture that prizes productivity, planning, and control. We are trained to think of the now as something to be managed or overcome in pursuit of future goals. But when you slow down and truly inhabit the present, you access a different kind of power, an inner stillness that allows clarity and insight to arise naturally. It is in this stillness that you begin to see beyond the illusions and distractions that have clouded your vision. The turnaround you seek is not in some distant event, but in the way you relate to this moment. When you stop resisting what is happening and instead open to it fully, you create space for transformation. Resistance breeds tension and keeps you locked in old patterns. Acceptance, on the other hand, dissolves tension and invites flow. The paradox is that by surrendering to the now, you gain the power to change your life. Presence awakens you to what is truly real beneath the surface of your thoughts and emotions. You begin to notice the subtle sensations in your body, the rhythm of your breath, the sounds around you. This embodied awareness grounds you, rooting you in life itself, rather than in the mental narratives that can lead to confusion and despair. From this grounded place, new possibilities emerge, because you are no longer caught in reactivity, but responding with conscious choice. The moment you fully inhabit is a moment of freedom. It frees you from the tyranny of past mistakes and future worries. It frees you from the pressure to fix or control everything. Instead, it invites you to trust the natural unfolding of your path. This trust is not blind optimism, but a deep recognition that life's unfolding is intelligent, and that you have the capacity to meet it with openness. When you focus on the present, you also begin to see that your problems and challenges are often magnified by your mental resistance to them. It is not the events themselves that cause suffering, but your relationship to them. The same situation can feel overwhelming or manageable depending on how present you are with it. Relaxing into the moment transforms your experience, not necessarily by changing circumstances, but by changing your inner response. This transformation has practical implications. When you are fully present, you can make better decisions because you are not clouded by anxiety or distraction. You can respond to situations with clarity rather than reacting impulsively. You can also appreciate the small joys and blessings that often go unnoticed when your mind is elsewhere. This appreciation nourishes your spirit and builds resilience. The practice of presence requires intention and discipline. It is easy to slip back into old habits of distraction and worry. But with patience and persistence, you can cultivate this skill. Simple practices like mindful breathing, grounding exercises, or simply pausing to observe your surroundings can help anchor you in the now. Over time, these moments of presence accumulate, creating a foundation for deeper transformation. Presence also deepens your connection with others. When you are fully present in a conversation or relationship, you listen more deeply and respond more authentically. This presence fosters understanding, compassion, and intimacy, which, in turn, support your growth. Relationships become mirrors reflecting your true self back to you, helping you to see where healing and change are needed. The present moment is also where gratitude arises naturally. when you stop to notice what is, without judgment or expectation, you discover countless reasons to be thankful. Gratitude shifts your focus from scarcity to abundance, from lack to sufficiency. This shift in perspective opens your heart and creates a positive feedback loop that attracts more blessings. Spiritually, the present moment is the place where the divine meets you. Across traditions, the sacred is described as always accessible in the here and now. When you relax into the moment, you open a channel to this deeper presence, a source of peace, guidance, and strength beyond the fluctuations of daily life. This connection nourishes your soul and supports your journey through uncertainty. The moment you become aware of the power of now, you realize that the turnaround you seek has already begun. You are no longer waiting for life to change. You are changing your way of being in life. This shift creates ripples that extend outward, transforming your experience and influencing those around you. To live fully in the present is to participate actively in the unfolding of your own story. It is to dance with life rather than resist it, to move with the rhythm of existence rather than against it. The power of now is the power of transformation. It is the place where your deepest healing and your greatest potential meet. Relaxing into the present does not mean ignoring responsibilities or goals. Rather, it means approaching them from a place of grounded awareness and calm confidence. You can plan and act with intention, but without the anxiety and pressure that come from trying to control outcomes. This balance allows you to navigate challenges with grace and resilience. The power of the present moment is not theoretical, it is experiential. It is felt in the quiet breath, the soft smile, the gentle acceptance of what is. It is the anchor that steadies you amid life's storms. When you return again and again to this moment, you cultivate a wellspring of strength and peace that sustains you through all phases of your journey. In embracing the present, you discover that everything you have been searching for, peace, clarity, freedom, is already here. The turnaround you desire is not out there in some distant future. It is this moment, unfolding now, inviting you to awaken and step fully into your life. Trusting that everything is falling into place is one of the most profound and challenging lessons life offers. At times when we face uncertainty, loss, or upheaval, it can feel as though the universe is indifferent or even hostile to our hopes and desires. We look around and see disorder, confusion, and seemingly random events that shake our sense of stability. In those moments, the temptation to despair or to cling desperately to control is immense. Yet, beneath the surface of apparent chaos, there is an unseen order, a quiet orchestration, guiding the unfolding of your life. Trust is not naive optimism. It is not a passive waiting for good things to happen without effort or awareness. Rather, trust is an active choice to believe in the inherent intelligence of life's process, even when the path is obscured. It is a recognition that the universe, or the greater force that moves through all things, operates on a scale far beyond our limited perspective. When you trust, the experience of trust often begins in moments of surrender. When you stop fighting, when you release the desperate need to control, and when you acknowledge that some things are simply beyond your grasp. This surrender is not defeat, but a powerful acknowledgement of your place within the larger web of existence. It is the realization that you are part of a vast, interconnected whole, and that your life's challenges and blessings are woven into this greater tapestry. When you embrace trust, you start to notice how events that once seemed random or unfair begin to reveal purpose. What looked like setbacks transform into opportunities for growth. What seemed like closed doors open to unexpected paths. Synchronicities and signs appear, as if life itself is whispering reassurance. This shift in perception changes not only how you see your circumstances, but also how you engage with them. You become a participant in the unfolding, not a victim of it. This trust also deepens your patience. The universe's timing rarely matches our desires for immediacy. We want quick fixes and instant results. But life's most meaningful changes often require time, a process of unfolding that cannot be rushed. When you trust, you learn to wait without anxiety, to hold your vision lightly, and to be open to the way it manifests, which may differ from your expectations, but is always aligned with your highest good. Trust is cultivated through experience. Each time you face uncertainty and choose to surrender instead of resist, you build a foundation of faith. Each time you see that life's twists and turns eventually lead you to where you need to be, your trust grows stronger. This process is ongoing, a continual deepening of your relationship with the unknown. There is also a humility inherent in trust. It acknowledges that you do not have all the answers and that some mysteries are beyond human understanding. This humility frees you from the burden of having to figure everything out and opens you to receive guidance from sources beyond the mind, whether that be intuition, spiritual insight, or the subtle rhythms of nature. Trusting that everything is falling into place invites you to relax into the flow of life with confidence rather than fear. It is like stepping into a river and allowing its current to carry you, trusting that it will lead you safely to your destination, even if the route is winding and unseen. This trust transforms anxiety into peace and struggle into ease. In practical terms, living with this trust means making choices based on faith rather than fear. It means acting with intention while remaining open to outcomes. It means recognizing setbacks not as failures, but as part of the necessary process of growth. It means cultivating gratitude for where you are, even as you move toward where you want to be. Spiritually, trust is the foundation of many traditions that teach surrender to a higher power. It is the invitation to rest in the assurance that you are held, guided, and supported, no matter how chaotic things may appear. This spiritual trust connects you to a source of strength and comfort that transcends circumstances. When you live with trust, you also inspire those around you. Your calm presence becomes a beacon in turbulent times, showing others that it is possible to navigate uncertainty with grace. This ripple effect extends beyond your personal life, contributing to a collective awakening to the intelligence that underlies existence. Ultimately, trusting that everything is falling into place is a declaration of faith in life itself. It is a surrender to the mystery, a dance with the unknown, and a celebration of the journey. This trust does not erase challenges, but it transforms your experience of them. It reminds you that you are never truly alone, and that life, in all its complexity, is always moving you toward your highest potential. By embracing this trust, you open yourself to the miracle of unfolding, a miracle that often begins in the very moments when you feel most uncertain. It is here, in the sacred space between letting go and holding on, that the true turnaround happens. Your willingness to trust becomes the catalyst for transformation, inviting a life of greater peace, purpose, and joy. to emerge naturally and effortlessly.